What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope you're having a great Valentine's Day. I'm getting ready to cook something nice for my wife for dinner and kind of chill just a little bit here. She's doing some paperwork and stuff because we're going to be going down the road tomorrow to work on the red brick house and things. So we got to get all that stuff together before we go. But we do have some news. Derek Carr has been released by the Raiders, which isn't really a surprise since he notified them, I'm not waiving my trade clause. He literally played a game of chicken with them, and he won. If you want to, okay, let's go back here because, you know, I know a lot of Cowboy fans that maybe the Cowboys should just let Dak walk, and let's go get Derek Carr because that guy is incredible. Yeah. Okay. Derek Carr, who had signed a $135 million deal, I believe it was a $135 million contract with the Raiders, was set to make $40 million over the cap. Excuse me, $40 million this year. If we're looking at Derek Carr, who the Raiders decided after he threw 2 picks, I think on Christmas Eve, they said, don't come back to facilities. They decided then and there they were done with Derek Carr and that they were moving on, and they did not want him to come to facilities and get injured. You might know that when he was coming in to play flag football, they were holding their breaths because had he gotten hurt, they would have been on the chain for him for $40 million. And clearly both teams needed a break. Derek Carr's been with the Raiders since 2014. He has gone through some abysmal years with the team, with John Gruden and that whole nonsense, finally making the playoffs last year where they fired Rich Batiste when they made the playoffs and brought in Josh McDaniels. Throughout his career, now here's the thing, because a lot of y'all say, I'll take Derek Carr over Dak Prescott. The best season that he had was 27 TDs and 9 interceptions. That was the most amount of touchdown passes in any season. Looking at it, he had 21. Oh, I'm sorry. 2015, he had 32. Forgive me. I made a mistake there. 32 and 13 interceptions. And then 27 and 9. But for the most part, most of his career has been like 21, 22, 28, 19, 21, 23, and 24. And this past season, it was 24 TDs, 14 interceptions, a 60.8 completion percentage, and only 3,522 yards, and 86.3 rating. And understand, he had Davante Adams. Yeah, he had Davante Adams. He had a great running attack. He had a great, he had Hunter Renfrow, I believe it is, Hunter Renfrow there with him as well. Had a great running attack. Had everything right there for him. With an offensive-minded head coach, and didn't quite do that well. And it seems like the Raiders, of course, have been just stuck in the mud for so long. You know, it's like the curse of Al Davis. Mark Davis is just not getting it done. He is striking out every which way he goes. Most yardage-wise was 2021. He threw for 4,800 yards. Again, 23 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Kind of pedestrian. But he is now the hottest free agent out there in the NFL. But here's what's funny about it, because it seemed like the Raiders and Derek Carr were on the same page, because the Raiders said, hey, why don't you go out there and work yourself a trade? Find somebody that you want to go to so you'll waive that trade clause and we can go both about our business. And he went to New Orleans. And, you know, New Orleans, he liked it and everything else. But I think he started thinking of, why should I help the Raiders? The Raiders pretty much for like the last 4 years, and every year that John Gruden was there was kind of like, it felt like John Gruden wanted to get rid of him. So in his mind, he's thinking, why should I help the Raiders? I'm leaving town. I'm leaving. Why do I want them to get some of the draft compensation to the team I'm going to go to? And so he just said, you know what? I'm not waiving my no trade clause. I expect to be cut. Now, if you want to go ahead and pay me for $40 million, then I'll just kind of be there, then do that. But he knew they weren't going to do that because they were moving on. And the thing about quarterbacks, I know Derek Carr is, in a lot of people's mind, a great quarterback. I'm sorry. No playoff wins. No playoff wins. The numbers kind of average now in the NFL. Kind of average. And you still look at this and say, teams are going to find it. Believe me, teams are going to pay you because there's not many options. Would you rather have Carson Wentz? Probably not. There will be Jimmy Garoppolo, who has, of course, Super Bowl experience. He is a good quarterback. People seem to follow him, but he's always injured. There's Jacoby Brissett out there, who actually didn't play bad in Cleveland. I'd say he played as good as Deshaun Watson did. Because Deshaun Watson wasn't looking that good. I'm just kind of saying. Yeah. And going through the draft, unless you're one of the top teams, and when you draft a quarterback in the first round, you put it on a wing and a prayer and hope that you're going to go ahead and get, a good quarterback as opposed to Josh Rosen, who, went from team to team to team, that literally after 1 year in Arizona, they gave up on him, and he basically went to Miami and Cleveland and who knows where else. He's literally not been anywhere near as advertised. Think about Johnny Manziel, Yeah. All these quarterbacks that it's like the highways are littered with. And the reality is if you don't have a quarterback, you in trouble, bro. And this is where I find it so amazing that people will say, trade Dak. He's not the one. Okay. He may not be the perfect one, but he's a lot better than what you're going to find anywhere else right now. I'm being serious on that one. So, good luck to Derek Carr. We'll see if he ends up signing that contract with the Raiders. Nothing can be finalized until the league year starts, which is March 15th. But they can basically have an agreement in principle. The Raiders and New Orleans basically had a agreement in principle, agreed on trade compensation, but it was, I got other news for you, bro. That's what Derek Carr did. So, with that being said, that's all I got for you right now. Derek Carr, the biggest free agent out there. I'm Mark Holmes, and I hope you're having a great VD day. Peace.